Hello everyone and welcome to Dumpster Brand YouTube channel, where today we're going to introduce you to this very special Mark 7 Golf GTI. Reason why I say it's special is because this is one of 400 ever made Clubsport S, of which 150 came into the UK right-hand drive. Not only is this a very rare Volkswagen Golf GTI, but it's one of the most exhilarating Golf GTIs you could ever experience driving. It's absolutely sensational. Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport S. It's a special, very special edition Mark 7. It was once the fastest front-wheel drive hatchback to go around the Nürburgring launch cycle. And I was lucky enough to own one of these very cars. It's an incredibly rare Golf. As a car enthusiast, there's nothing quite like the feeling of driving a car that stands out from the crowd. And even though the Golfs aren't really loud and proud, it's exactly what the Clubsport S does. Makes you feel special because it's such a special car to drive.
Now, the rarity of the Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport S is also exuded by its interior. Now, just have a look at these Recaro wingbacks. Come in a unique graphic for this GTI Clubsport S, the mix of fabric and Alcantara. You still have the piano back inserts like you do with the other Golf GTIs and the Golf R, but if you examine closely, there's no center armrest in the console, and there is a deletion of the rear seats. And if you look at the rear of the car, you can actually see that the rear seats have been replaced by some form of netting, and the rear load area has a cavity where once the spare wheel was located, this particular owner has put in a Helix subwoofer, so he obviously likes his music.
So what exactly makes the Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport S so special? Well, there are a couple of attributes. Number one, what's under the bonnet, and number two, the suspension. Under the bonnet is the familiar hardware you've seen in other Golf GTIs, which is the EA888 series 2-litre TFSI engine. But what makes this difference is it's got the CJXG iteration. The G meaning it's got a different software tune, a different software calibration. And that makes a hell of a difference from the Clubsport and the GTI Performance Pack. The other attribute is the suspension. Now, the suspension is the brainchild of Volkswagen's suspension dynamics engineer, Carsten Schevstadt, and he was from Porsche GT fame. And prior to that, he was also responsible for Ford's Focus, the Mark I Focus. Anyone who's driven that will know that's a very good handling car. So under the bonnet then, it's 306 imperial horsepower, or 310 metric horsepower, and 280 pound-per-foot torque. And that, let me tell you, in this light and stripped out Golf GTI is absolutely exhilarating. But fine, you've got the speed, but you also have the agility and a tenacious chassis setup. So Carsten has done an amazing job on suspension. It's got different suspension settings, so different spring rates, compression, rebounds, and also has different spring rates. These all work together, and the important thing is you've got a set of and the suspension is configured in such a way to give that exhilarating having different spring rates, damper settings. It also features Volkswagen's renowned electronic suspension, where you can actually configure yourself how you want it to be. And the other thing that makes it all work that sort of integrates it all together with these Michelin Clubsport 2 tyres, which are standard factory fitment. So these are great in the dry, but not so great in the wet. So much so that Volkswagen UK's very own Clubsport S, which they lend out to journalists, features a different set of tyres, because obviously car lap pressures, they don't want anyone roughing it on the road. So what are the exterior features which will indicate to you that this is a Clubsport S? Well, the front bumper is unique to the Clubsport and Clubsport S. And you have these big air channels which allow the air to go straight to the rear of the wheel, allows the disc brake to cool down, also allows the air that's turbulent to be what they say laminar flow, to give stability, so as the air goes around the front wheels, it stabilizes the car. But more importantly, this bumper features active aero, which basically creates a low pressure, pushes the front of the car down, and you actually feel the car hunker down at speed. This is also repeated at the rear of the car. And if you look very carefully where my fingers are, again, air is channeled beneath this top spoiler and over this bottom spoiler, and this too creates low pressure and it actually pushes the car down at speed. It's very simple, very clever, and very effective. So these features are specific to the Clubsport and Clubsport S and contribute to a very exhilarating driving experience. So the name Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport S. Notice I emphasize Clubsport harks back to an era where people would take their vehicles out to a track and enjoy them fully. So, as you know, you're not allowed to in the public. As you know, you're not allowed to on public roads because of speed limits. So the name is adorned on this particular Golf GTI. And there come some also visual cues you could identify this from the other Golf GTI. Now, this example is in white. The Clubsport S's only came in red, anthracite black, which is a metallic black, and a solid white. As you can see, there are accents on this car, on the Clubsport S and Clubsport, and you can identify them clearly because this car is in white. The front air down channels air to this particular car being white, you can see the black accents. That again helps you identify that this is a Clubsport S. Another visual indicator, another visual indicator, you'll notice that the door mirror coverings are in black. So they're in black, your car's in black, or the red Clubsport S. So these are some of the indicators that will enable you to distinguish a Clubsport S from, say, a Golf GTI Performance or the military GTI. So, in summary, then, if you were to look to purchase the Golf GTI Clubsport S, good bloody luck. There's not many of these about now. 150 came into the UK, and they're very much cherished by their owners. And yes, some have passed through various owners. But if you take a look on Auto Trader, you will see that they're well looked after. It's the people who own these don't just own a Clubsport S, they own other high performance vehicles. And let me tell you, a lot of them prefer driving this because it is very special. And all the attributes that I've described earlier to you come together, give you a very infused exhilarating, special driving experience. Ladies and gentlemen, the Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport S.